What's up, nerds? How's it going? Do you guys like that little Rickroll I threw in there? I gotta screw with you guys. Keep you on your toes. Um, how are you guys doing today? Sorry about the delay. I was on the phone with my mom, and then as I was trying to get the stream started, my NVIDIA display drivers kept crashing. I hope to God my graphics card is not dying. I guess the 3090s are having a lot of issues with failure rates, so I hope mine isn't one of them. We're echoing. Are we? What else? Are we echoing? There's no... How are we echoing? Y'all are going to make me pull this up on my phone, aren't you? Are y'all screwing with me? Hang on. I go look up this idiot named TH3D on YouTube and see if his live stream is working. He's kind of a dick. Let's see. He's kind of a dick. You guys are messing with me. Hang on, I'm gonna leave a like on my own video. Ready? There we go. Streamception. All right. Should have known someone was messing with me. So, anyways, yeah. So this is Ask Tim. You guys get to ask me questions. You guys need to ask questions. So I'm gonna pop the chat out and see what we have for questions here. Why are you whining? Why are you whining? You see this? If you want a dog that whines a lot, get a German Shepherd. They're great. Anyways, let's see what questions we have here in the chat. And I am going to be doing a giveaway because I'm feeling generous and I'm in a great mood today. And let's be honest, I like spoiling you guys. So, yeah. Did we do... I feel like we did do the giveaway poll for October. Am I correct? You guys are here. I don't know if I'm correct in that. I feel like I did. The 150 giveaway that we do every month. So anyways, let me try to get back on task here. So, new stuff, the Ender 6 enclosure I will be getting completed and ready for sale next week. I have to do one more test fit on my machine here, and then I'm going to put them into production. The easy boards, every single easy board pre-order has shipped out, and we have more in production. We will not be doing another pre-order, but if you guys ordered a pre-order on easy board V2, they have all shipped out. We got them out yesterday. So look at Matt, member for 7 months. Has it seriously been 7 months already since I set up the channel members? Man, it does not feel like that. Holy crap. So yeah, we're gonna be doing that. So I don't know if you guys noticed, my Ender 3 or my Ender 2 Pro is in pieces, and this is the power supply. This is a custom spec power supply in terms of the mounting bolt holes and everything that Creality spec'd out for the Ender 2 Pro. This is a Changlang. The grounding was mediocre, as would be expected from a Changlang. The thing I am trying to figure out is the method of going about designing a replacement for this. So I contacted Creality for pricing on these power supplies because, and I'm not a big fan of using this brand of power supply, but since this is a proprietary design for the Ender 2 Pro, I was like, okay, well, maybe we should carry some and at least we could do some extra QC on them, check the grounding, that kind of stuff. But the other thing got me thinking is, what if we were to just design a printed housing that could accept this receptacle here? So we got this receptacle that screws in, so this could come off of here. That would accept this housing, bolt up to the factory location that this is in, and then also have a spot to mount a mean well in it. That's kind of wondering, like, I'm kind of wondering what way to go about that. Like, just for comparison, Like, I have one of these extra because I use the, this is the power supply I use in my humidor project. It's just a 100-watt mean well. Now, the 150-watt mean wells are the same width. They're just a little bit longer. So for comparison, here's the stock one. This can fit into the footprint of this stock power supply. So like if we had a printed case that, you know, we could go a little bigger, we got some wiggle room. We could make a printed housing that would accept the mean well, accept this power receptacle, and then bolt up into the stock location. Maybe it'd be a little bit longer. Do you guys follow what I'm saying here? So that's kind of the direction I'm thinking of, because I open this up and the PCB, it's the PCB mounting holes for the mean wells don't match up. So I think the best way to do this is to just design something that can take the receptacle from this, can take a mean well power supply, because the price, you guys want to take a guess on what the wholesale price is that I was quoted for these from Creality. So this is a 150-watt Changling power supply, obviously specifically designed for the Ender 2 Pro. Take a guess at what the wholesale price was for 100 pieces. Because I was surprised. And which is why I'm thinking about making a retrofit with a mean well instead of theirs. Yeah, David, you're close. It was about $50 with shipping per unit. To give you guys an idea, 150-watt mean well in quantity, I can get the price for just the power supply, like just the mean well power supply, to about $20 to $25. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, mean well, that would be my cost. You add in a printed housing. You know, we either pre-print them or offer the printed part for, or offer the STL file for a couple bucks, because obviously we're gonna have to pay someone to design it here. But like, even with a mean well, I feel like we could get that price lower than the factory power supply, and it's gonna be better. So like, why would I order these and resell these when I'd rather do a little custom solution with a mean well? So, you know, I don't know. I feel like that's a lot for a Changling power supply. So, yeah. If they were like 15 to 20 bucks, I might consider getting them just because it's a proprietary one and just doing some extra QC. I did measure the ripple on it. It's not terrible, but it's not good. It's not mean well, but you still got to deal with the grounding stuff. So, I don't know. This is an interesting beast, because I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't use a standard power supply. This does complicate replacements a little bit. So, yeah. But let's get into the Q&A here, because that's what you guys are here for. So as I'm answering people's questions, go ahead and post other questions in the chat, and what will happen is I will go ahead and answer them. We are off our tangent here, which is par for the course with these. I don't know if I'll be doing it tonight or not, but I do have some maintenance due on my Ender 3 Pro. That's my personal machine in my office. I'm going to be changing out the hot end cooling setup and just doing maintenance. I got to change the PTFE tube. It's just worn out. One of the PTFE fittings after like 2 years finally died. So I'm just kind of going over it so I can get the print quality back up. And I think I did the, what is it? It's one of the red squirrel ones. It's like what I did on the Sunlu. But yeah, so anyways, I am looking into replacement power supplies for the Ender 2 Pro. I don't know how much of a problem these are going to be. Don't have much time on this. I am going to use this stock one for a while and see how it is. But in general, you guys know I prefer Meanwell just because I'm a Meanwell brand whore. No, just because Meanwell makes good stuff, and Changling is not not known for making good quality power supplies. So, yeah, anyways, but let's see, questions. Sky Boy, I think, is the first one with an actual printer question. He says, is the Slice Engineering Mosquito worth the money? Now, I will say I have not used any Slice products. I have friends that use Slice products. My friends that have the Slice products have been very happy with them. Now, looking at their specifications, I do think the Mosquito is a good option if you are consistently doing high temperature printing. My opinion is, and which is why I don't have them on any of my machines, is if you're printing PLA, ABS, PETG, TPE, TPU, materials that typically will be extruded under 260 degrees Celsius, it's my opinion that going with something like a Mosquito is probably not worth your money, because you're not really going to see much of an improvement. You might see a little bit of print quality improvement just because of the quality of the hot end. It's machined a lot better than most of your stock hot ends. So you might get a little more consistent and smooth extrusion, more accurate nozzles. But in general, if you're not printing high temp materials, and this is my opinion and why I don't have Slice Engineering products, is not because I don't like them. They are made in the US, so props to them. That's really hard these days. It's also one of the reasons why they're so expensive. But in my opinion, if you're not doing the high temp materials, it probably wouldn't be worth the money to get it. I totally get there are people that, because I do this with some stuff, where you just want the best, you don't care, you're just going to put it on your printer. If you're one of those people, I do think Slice makes really good stuff. I've handled their hot ends in person. I've gone over them. They're beautifully machined pieces of engineering. So it's all about you guys. The E3D Revo, I have not ordered that yet. I also am trying to get back into the swing of things here. So I have not been doing a good job of keeping up with all the latest stuff. But I am aware of the Revo system, where that's the new heat break, quick swap nozzle setup with E3D. I think that's a great idea. I think it's going to make printing a lot easier for people, because I can't tell you how many new people I've seen where they swap a nozzle and then filament's oozing everywhere. I haven't had that happen in a while, but I remember when I was new, having to make sure that nozzle was seated against the heat break was a huge pain in the ass. So just fair warning, there might be some swears here and there. Just how I am. I don't put on a persona for my streams. This is me. Anybody that's hung out with me offline or in person will know you get what you get. Let's see here. Peter Anderson is he's going to put a V2 board, our EasyBoard V2, in the CR30. Yeah, I did just drop the DIY firmware. The CR30, I believe, when I looked at the code for their stock board, it's basically just a Core XY configuration. So, let's see. Michael's here. Night mode activated. Yep. Nemo recognizes night mode. I realized that since obviously like it feels like it's midnight outside. I don't know if you guys noticed. It's literally 4:30 here, and it's dark outside. I hate daylight savings time. Michael, I forgot I had my studio sound system on. That music just blared out over 5,700 watts. That was still cranked up. Scared the piss out of me. That's good. All right, let's see. All right, Andrew Clayton. Wait, he's more of a statement than a question. Tim, pay the electric bill. I have. Do you guys want to know what my electric bill was? Yeah. How about this? It's nuts. We're just gonna show it here, because I don't and this is a low bill for normal. Yeah, let's just cover this up, just to show you guys. That's what running a ton of printers will do. That's low. That's low. Let's see, billing. What was my? I think my hang on, usage. I don't think it shows. Oh yeah, my biggest month, so September, was we used 4,968 kilowatt hours, and it was $713. It's a lot. My electric bill is some people's mortgage payments or rent. But hey, the shop is on the property. That's why it uses a ton of stuff. But yeah. Let's see. I think all these lights I have on right now probably use more power than just my overheads. I have no idea. Let's see. You guys better have some questions. I'm scrolling down. There we go. Chat jumped. We're talking about the power supplies. Scrolling back up. Echo, echo, echo. Yeah, there was no echo. You guys were trolling. Let's see. Sky Boy's asking, what motherboard should I switch my CR10 to? Well, I'm biased, so I'm going to say an easy board. But the unbiased response would be, what are you trying to do? If you're just trying to get it quiet and you want a cheaper board, you can pick up the Creality 427 board. We carry those. And because of how damn expensive everything has gotten, our price on them right now, which includes technical support, is only like $4 or $5 more than Amazon. So prices are finally starting to get inflated on those. But they are using genuine STM processors. So yeah. But there should be, my best guess for those of you wondering when there's going to be more easy boards, I'm hoping in about 3 to 4 weeks. That's me padding a couple weeks because the world is in chaos still, apparently. But yeah, Emerson Quarter, will there ever be a unified clipper? Probably not. Tor, our live chat guy, and tech support guy, customer service rep, whatever you guys want to call him, he has been playing with Clipper a lot. I've been encouraging them to do that because obviously I've only got so much time in the day to do stuff. And if you guys want to see all of our team, we have started putting bios up on our About Us page. So all the support guys are up there. I got Sean and Danielle and Joe's coming. But you can see everybody that's on the team. There are real people behind this. It's not just me. I've tried getting them on the streams. Just for the record, in case anybody thinks it's an ego thing, I'm not Joe Prusa where I can't have anybody else but me on our YouTube channel. I have offered. They're just very shy. And in case anybody didn't know, that was just me making a joke about Prusa. Don't take me too seriously. All right. All right, where's the next question? Okay, John Reefer, Vermont. Hey, Tim, having some issues where my nozzles are getting clogged after about 200 hours of use. Filament is Coax Prime, dry new. Once I swap the nozzles, I'm good, but I tried different rolls. The main thing I would say is check to see if you're getting any debris on your filament. You can print like a filament cleaner or oiler. Basically, the difference between a cleaner and oiler is whether you put oil onto the sponge or not. And check to see. But if you are getting like consistent clogs, I would try, like, Coax has been pretty good, but you know, as with any product, you can have issues with it. Maybe there was contamination in it. The other thing I could think would be is if you're printing hot enough. I do know that Coax, because I print a lot of Coax, typically likes temperatures above 230 Celsius. I usually print their PLA at 230. So if you're getting a spot, if you're running it lower at like 200 and you get to a point where, you know, it needs a little bit more heat to extrude, you could end up where it just fails to go through the nozzle and then you get what seems to be a clog. But in general, I would say try cleaning your filament. You might just be getting debris on it. You could have also just got a bad roll or two where there was contaminants in it that are stopping up the nozzle. In that case, it'd be really easy to deduce by just changing to a different brand or a different batch of filament to see if that goes away. But, you know, to give you guys an idea, 200 hours is not a ton. It's also not a little bit of printing time. And we typically will have to change the nozzles in our print farm printers anywhere from 6 months to a year. It really depends. Like, it's not something that needs to be changed frequently, but nozzles are a wearable item. So they're going to have to be replaced. They're going to wear out. They're going to get clogged. And sometimes it's just worth it to just change it out. You know, especially if you're using cheaper nozzles, you know, like you're using brass nozzles, it's not worth trying to mess with it. Just swap it out. But, I would check and see, like, I don't know where your printer is located. If it's in a dustier area where, you know, more contaminants can get on the filament path or the filament itself, you know, dust, dirt, grime, that kind of stuff, you know, you're potentially getting more chances for stuff to clog the nozzle. So, But check your print temp, check your, actual area. And then, like I said, if you're consistently getting it, especially if it's on the same roll. So like, let's say you notice a certain roll clogs up your nozzle. It might just be you got a roll with contamination in it, and then contact the company, whether it's Coax or anybody, be like, hey, I'm having issues with it. Cause I had filament from Ziltech that just did that all the time. It clogged up my nozzles, and the way I got around that was I printed on a larger nozzle, so the 0.4s would clog up, the 0.6s, whatever was in there was smaller than 0.6 and wouldn't clog the nozzle up. So you got to kind of like, go through the steps of the printing process and then isolate one thing at a time to figure out where the issue could be occurring. Is it temperature? That's the easiest one. Are you printing hot enough? Yes, no. If you are, move on. Is the filament physically getting dirty? Is there stuff, did the roll just have dirt on it? Did you drop it? Did it pick up stuff? Like, do you have pets? Yeah. Let's see here. R Mills, when does the Ender 2 Pro drop? I'm not sure. I don't know when the Ender 2 Pro is going to drop. David Leteau is in COVID quarantine. Good thing my easy board for my 5 Plus is coming Friday. That is good timing. I hope you get over it. I dealt with COVID when all of it started. It knocked me on my ass for a good week. Yeah. So just make sure you're getting up. Don't stay in bed. Force yourself to get up. You don't want to get like blood clots laying down and stuff if you're like feeling like you got hit by a truck. So easier said than done, but yeah. You want to make sure you're staying active. So let's see. We're talking about the prices of the what's it called? Of the Ender 2 power supply. All right, question here. So Jeremy Belgrove, he said he has a Ender 3 and Ender 3 Pro both running unified U1 R2B5. The problem is when the printer pauses for a filament change, it retracts the filament, then reboots. Now, U1 R2B5, that is a very old firmware. My first response, anytime you guys are going to have firmware issues, especially if you're on an older one, which U1 R2, that's Unified 1, which has not been updated in years, I would recommend updating to the latest firmware. Now, the other thing is, if you have the filament sensor wired incorrectly, when the filament runs out, you could be causing a short condition, which could then cause a board to reboot. So if you know everything's wired correctly, then I would say update your firmware, because you could just be running into a bug. If updating the firmware doesn't solve it, I would probably recommend checking all your connections and make sure nothing is shorting out. But it could also just be if those are an older 8-bit board, which they they are going to be if it's on Unified 1. They could just be getting at the end of the ropes. If a firmware update doesn't fix it and you're sure everything's wired correctly, they could just be wearing out. But I would just update the firmware. That usually fixes most issues. And like I said, U1 is really old. I don't think it's been updated in over a year at this point. Let's see. Andrew, if you got the dimensions, shoot them over me and I'll get a mock-up done for you. No, it's all good. I'm just gonna whip up something, and I'm getting pretty good at designing parts. So, but yeah, let's see here. John Reefermont, he's wondering why you had the nozzle clog. Now, you said Micro Swiss, when they tell me that 200 hours of PLA is nothing. Yeah, 200 hours of PLA is not a lot of time. Here's the other thing. You said you have a Micro Swiss, which I'm assuming you're using their all metal hot end, because Micro Swisses usually are all metal. Are you sure you're not getting a clog? Are you sure you're getting a clog and not a jam? Because there's two different things. So when you guys have hot ends, okay, the things that can stop filament from extruding at the nozzle in that area, the nozzle and the heat break, are one of two things typically. You have a clog, which means there's physical debris that's preventing the filament from extruding out of the tip of the nozzle. And there's also a jam. Now, they both can seem very similar. The difference between a jam and a clog is that when a clog happens, there's a physical blockage of the orifice of the nozzle where the filament exits. Whereas a jam will typically occur further up, because the filament solidified where it shouldn't have. Usually it's in the heat break area above the transition zone. So let me get my handy dandy nozzle model, which is right back here. So on your hot end here, okay, this is a E3D V6 model, but all hot ends are the same basic design. You've got your nozzle, you've got your heat break, your heater block, okay, and then you see this right there. Do you see there's like the little piece connecting this? Okay, so if I unscrew this, you have your transition zone, okay? So this is the transition zone from the heat block up to the cold end heatsink, okay? So, and this is usually a thinner portion. Now, when you have a clog, that means that you are getting a blockage down here in this area of the nozzle, okay? So you got something physically blocking here. When you get a jam, the filament's actually solidified, usually in this area here, and the extruder's not able to push it through, but they both manifest themselves in the same symptom, is in that filament is no longer coming out of the tip of the nozzle. So a couple of things can cause this. One, if your heatsink fan is not pushing enough air across this heatsink to keep this cool, what'll happen is the heat will start moving from your heat block up through the transition zone of the heat break and heating this up. And when you have PLA, if this heatsink gets above 50 to 60 degrees Celsius, it's going to start getting soft, and it's going to start not feeding correctly, and retractions are just going to go to crap, and it's not going to be a good time. That's what heat creep is. But the other thing is too, you could also be retracting too much, especially on an all metal hot end. If you're retracting, you know, just from here to here, but then you change the setting and you're retracting all the way up into here, you are much more likely to get a jam as you pull that molten plastic up out of this area into this colder spot, and it sticks on the inside of the heat break. So hopefully that makes sense. But yeah. All right. Peter Anderson, why would you buy an Ender 2 instead of Ender 3? The price isn't that different between the two. I don't know. I feel like it's a personal preference. The Ender 2, I feel like, is a more portable machine. Hang on. Remo is under my desk, and he's like, getting it. Go. Go. Come on. Let's go. 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 Sorry. Ender 2 over Ender 3. I would say portability is going to be the #1 thing. If it's just sitting on your desk, they're probably going to take up about the same space. But the Ender 2... Hey, get out of there. The Ender 2 Pro is definitely a more portable machine. It's more geared towards that. It's also a little lighter. I don't know. I probably would go with an Ender 3 over a 2 Pro. The Ender 2 itself is no longer sold, but the 2 Pro is a re-release just using the same name. Yeah. So, but there are some benefits. The Ender 2 Pro, if you have that thing properly dialed in, because the bed is a smaller bed, you could whip that around a little bit faster than Ender 3 and get less ringing because the bed is smaller. You know, I'm just being honest here. I do have a thing for small printers. I'm going to probably put a lot of upgrades onto this, because every time I get a tiny printer, I usually end up putting a lot of upgrades on it just because. Let's see. John Leet is saying, how's the dual Z mod for the Ender 5 Pro going? I'm going to be working on that next week. So I have all the parts. I have the parts in for it. I just got to do fitment and then get the stuff packaged up and get documentation done. So unless you guys want me to just put all the parts in a bag and be like, here, have fun figuring it out. First person to figure it out gets a $10 gift card. I can just do like some other companies doing, just here, figure it out, go on YouTube. No, just kidding. I don't do that. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I saw a guy asking about unified clipper. There's really not a way to do unified clipper because of the way clipper is set up. I'm not a clipper expert, but I am aware of the different, you have your binary file for the board, and then you have your config file that sets all the parameters for the printer. So the easiest way you could do, which they already have in their repository, is they have example configurations, and then you just modify the example configuration based on the board and printer you have. Or if you have nothing but time, then you just make your own configuration for the boards, from scratch. So, but yeah, the whole thing with Unified 2 is the goal is to have Marlin firmware that's easy, so you don't have to know any of the low-level settings. You just tell it, I have this printer and I have this board, and you compile it and you upload it to your printer, and that's it. You know, you don't have to worry about all these different things. Someone said LEDs are not working on the cube? I think it's working. I don't know. It's doing its thing. Let's see. All right, let's see. When installing EasyBoard from into my Ender 5 Plus, do I need a special cable for the dual Z? If you have an EasyBoard V2, no. The EasyBoard V2 has 2 Z motor ports on it. This basically has a splitter built into it. We were able to fit it onto the board this time because of optimizing the layout and everything. The V1 board does need a splitter. So the V2 does not need a splitter. It's basically built in. No, the cube is working. I don't know why. Let's see. I'm looking for questions. Jeremy, I answered his about the filament retracting and it's rebooting. I feel like I remember that bug happening. Yeah, like I said, update the firmware. Let's see. Vincent says Ender 2 Pro is shipping early December in the US. Man, I got it really early then. Let's see here. Mike V, my V2 board will be here Saturday. Awesome. I thought about, well, they changed the plugs, but I thought about putting the V2 board in my Ender 2 Pro. Michael says, is there anything I need to watch for adding a 2-into-1 hot end using Unified 2? You're going to need a board that can do 2 extruders. That's about it. Basically, well, I don't know what printer it'd be, but if you're using like one of our, like the only Unified 2 firmware that's going to support a dual extruder board is the one for the Creality dual extruder board, which we haven't sold in a while. Creality stopped making those for us. And then the other one would be the MKS S-Gen LV2, which is a universal board that we used to sell, but due to the silicon shortage, we haven't been able to get our hands on them again. How is Remo today? Remo is doing very well. He's passed out behind me now. Alan Kilgore, got my V2 board Monday, installed last night, working flawlessly. Great job, Tim and the whole TH Reader crew. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Garrett is asking, any plans for TH3D to sell PET-G? So I was thinking about getting some GreenGate stuff in here. They've been, asking us for a couple months, and I've just been all over the place. I have printed their stuff, and it seems to print really well. They also have a lot of cool colors, and their whole, angle with their stuff is it's recycled. So I do like that. I'm not a tree-hugging hippie, but I'm not opposed to, more environmentally conscious products. So... but like I've printed with coax stuff and like coax, like their PET-G. So I print a lot of coax PLA. I print a lot of coax ABS. And the thing that I found when I gave the PET-G to Sean, because he's like, if I want filament tested, Sean, he's one of our shop tech guys. He just loves messing with new filament. So I'll give him stuff to play with, and he's just, in the zone, is super focused on it. And like, I think it was their translucent green. It was weird because like their other colors did not warp when they were in like the heat of a car, but the green warped a little bit, and I'm not sure why. But in terms of like the print quality, the coax PET-G was good print quality. PET-G in general is just kind of a pain because it likes to string. So, yeah, I do want to get some PET-G, and I've been doing more stuff with PET-G as well. So. All right, let me see here. Chat jumped again. Kevin Cohen, are the CH3D tough hot end heater blocks available alone? We do not have them separately, but if you send a message to our support team, I think we should have spares in the print farm. Like we have bins of spare parts. I don't know if we have them. Our hot ends aren't that expensive. There was the tough dual hot end. I don't know if we fully clearanced those out or if we have them still or not. Let me check because they were 9. No, they're gone. I was gonna say if you just need the blocks, we clearance those dual hot ends out for really low. but they're gone because those had 2 V6 style blocks which work with that. But anyways, we finally cleared those out because we stopped doing a lot of dual extrusion stuff. It just wasn't that popular. But yeah, just shoot tech support a message, and Danielle or Sean could check and see. We might have some, or just pick up another hot end. I think our hot ends are like, what are they, $30 if that? I think they're pretty cheap. I was thinking about putting one on my Ender 3 because I was having issues with the stock one, but I'm going to try changing out the PTFE and the fittings first. I'm checking our site. I don't know all of our prices off the top of my head. I'm sorry. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of products to keep an eye on. Let's see. Tough Filament on it's $24, so it's not terrible. All right. Kevin said, so many of my clogs were probably jams. Same learning curve, but better application of said learning curve. Yeah, there's a lot of times when I got clogs, but they were jams. And it's hard to know the difference, especially if you're newer. Chris Polk, Ender 2 Pro versus the newer King Rune with the Titan clone. That's news to me. Apparently, I take like a month and a half off to like regroup, and I am out of the loop with all these printers. Dear God, should we have like I feel like we should have a like a channel in Discord where everybody can just post like the new stuff, like maybe like a 3D printing news feed. I feel like that would be helpful for everybody. Let's see here. Jeremy Belgrove, can I use a 427 board in a CR10 Mini? Yes, you can. Just use a MOSFET for the heated bed. Because when I did testing on the 427s with a CR10 bed load, the PCB got up to about 60 C on the traces for the bed. It's a little too warm for my comfort. You got to remember those boards were designed for the 24 volt machines. So there's lower amperage draw, same watts, but amps are really what you got to look out for. So you can use a 427 and a CR10 Mini. You just want to use a MOSFET on the heated bed so you're not putting all that bed load on the board. So, but the 427 boards, we've been selling them for many months now. I don't think we've ever gotten any returns on them or even warranty claims. So like they're decent boards for the price. So let's see here. Jason, I'm having issue with inconsistent layer lines. Any ideas what I should check? So I was having issues with that on my Ender 3, which is why I'm changing out stuff. I was watching it and noticing my tube moving and like things just loosen up. I've ran that printer hard for 2 years. But typically the first thing I will look for when I'm dealing with inconsistent layer lines is watch the machine, watch the tubing, watch your fittings. When it's printing to make sure that nothing is moving and shifting, because like I have a worn out PTFE fitting and the tube is also got a groove worn in it from the PTFE fitting. So it kind of like snowballs, like one thing wears out and then it wears into other parts. So what happens is when you go to extrude, instead of it actually pushing the plastic into the melt zone and it coming out, there's a little bit of a slack or a delay from the time where the tubing is moving and finally getting tension again, and then the filament can start being pushed out of the nozzle, and you get that delay, which means there's no filament coming out. So, but the number one issue I've had with inconsistent layer lines is issues with the extruder itself, meaning like there's not enough tension being put on the extruder or on the filament for it to consistently feed. You could also have issues where there's like a jam or a partial jam where the extruder is able to overpower and push through it, and then it manifests itself as inconsistent layer lines. The other thing too is I'm going to tell you guys right now, when you guys are troubleshooting an issue with your printer, always start with mechanical and electrical issues first, even if you think there aren't any, because I can't tell you how many times I've chased my tail changing settings and all this other stuff when it was just something physically with the machine. You know, always check for any possible layer 1 issues before you go down that rabbit hole of trying to figure out what the issue is. You know, keep it simple, then go down the rabbit hole. Let's see. Emerson, why didn't you go with individual control for dual Z setups on the V2 Easy board? One, trying to keep part count down. which also keeps costs down. Like silicon is very expensive. The trinamic drivers are getting to be very expensive, and most people don't use that feature. Most people are perfectly fine, even if they have dual Z motors, and most of your printers are wired stock to have both Z motors driven off of one driver. There are benefits to having independently controlled Z motors. Like you can do some stuff with automatic gantry leveling, but those are what I would consider more advanced use cases, and the majority of people are not going to take advantage of those features, so it would just drive cost up on the board and make them harder to produce and get parts for. So we are working on a V2 Pro. I don't have an ETA for it just because the supply stuff is all over the place, and we're trying to figure out what like chip to go with for the processor that we can actually get. Ideally, I'd like to stay with the same family of chip, the F4 series like we have on the V2, just the larger one with more pins. But I want to kind of position the V2 Pro as something along the lines of like what Big Tree Tech is doing with their Octopus or the Feistek Spider. So something, you know, kind of just like a big beefy board with a ton of options and more DIY minded, while also still focusing on something that's going to be quality. I probably will not do socketed drivers. There are a lot of advantages to doing onboard drivers, mainly for thermals. I was playing around with the idea of us making the Pro a socketed driver board, but one, I rarely ever have driver failures on any boards. Two, the customer error factor is also something to seriously consider when you have socketed drivers. There's potential for them to put them in backwards and short things out. You know, so... But I look at it this way, Duet makes some really high-end boards. They make really good quality boards. They have soldered drivers, and just in general, getting heat away from those drivers, they do run hot, is really easy when you have a big PCB instead of, you know, the tiny little PCB that the step sticks are on. So that's kind of what we're doing. So I've been talking with Griffin about that in positioning the EasyBoard V2 Pro as more of a DIY-oriented board, because that's something I actually want, too, for when I'm doing custom builds. So, oh, I see Jim from the Edge of Tech is here. Jim, you're a YouTube member, a channel member. I did not know that. I appreciate it. I feel bad. I feel like I should join your channel membership, if you have one. All right. Let's see. Gary Pauly, I just received my EasyABL Mini. Do I have a mount for the Hemera? I do not, but you can check on, I mean, just the standard sites, Thingiverse things. I'm sure someone's made one at some point. I know I've seen our EasyABLs on Hemeras. I don't have one. Someone in the Discord server might, but if you don't, or you can't find one, or you want to make your own, Fusion 360 is awesome to learn. I wish I spent more time learning it years ago. I'm just starting to get into it in the last, 7 or 8 months. So, let's see here. Blazeby, that's Tor, says, we can do like Joshua Barwell does for drones, like a bi-weekly news stream for 3D printing. I would like that, actually. I just would need help compiling all the sources. That's the main thing. I can't be, I've only got so much time in the day, Let's see here. Old School Record says, hi there, I'm fairly new to 3D printing, been doing it a couple months. In your opinion, what's the best filament company to order PLA from? Thanks, love your work. So I really like Coex. What's it called? I'm like getting freaking messages. Hang on. Let me just put my phone on. I'm just going to power it off. I mean, so here's the thing. Coex is my favorite filament brand. We've been using filament from Coex for years before we ever started selling it. We started selling Coex because I like their product so much. So the whole thing with all the stuff we do here is if I will not use it on my machines, if I won't use it in my print farm, if I will not drink my own Kool-Aid, I don't sell it to you guys. So there's a lot of good filaments out there. I really like Coex. My one complaint about Coex is they don't have a ton of options in terms of like fancy colors, like you start getting into glitter stuff, maybe some translucents. They don't have a ton of options like that. They have more primary colors, but what I will say that I do like about them is their filament extrudes consistently, very smoothly, like butter, it's so kind of cliche to say, but that's what I would equate it to. And the colors throughout the entire roll from start to finish are very even and consistent. So, I can't tell you how many times I printed with cheaper filaments in the past, and I have a larger print, and the color, you can look at it and see the colors changing from the bottom to the top. I don't have that issue with coax. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I haven't had that issue with coax. So my whole thing is when I'm looking for filament, I'll check coax first. If they have the color, like usually I'll have the color because we sell it and we have most of their colors, I'll get it from them. If coax doesn't have it, I'll check Atomic. Atomic is another US made company. I try to give as much business to other small US businesses as possible because we're a small US business. You know, and in general, I've had a lot of issues with filament from overseas companies, and I don't have consistency issues with the US filament brands, especially the stuff that's, you know, not high end, but more mid-range. And I would consider coax and Atomic to be like mid-range to higher end, if we're talking about price, because you're talking about $30 a roll, and like some of the, you know, cheaper filaments, you can get down to like 15 or 20. And running a print farm, having consistency is worth it over saving $10 on a roll of filament. Like, let's say I can get coax for $30 a roll, or I can get another brand for $10 a roll. Well, if I have consistency issues and I don't have consistency from batch to batch, roll to roll from the cheaper ones, I'm now spending more time trying to get the filament work just to try to save $10 a roll. Do you know what I mean? So in the long run, it's worth it for me to pay a little bit more per roll of filament because I don't have to then worry about that variable. And I have been bitten by that by using cheaper filament. So, you know, if you're a hobbyist, do whatever you want. I don't care what you guys buy. You know, I'm just here to give you guys my opinion on things, and I try to be transparent if there is any bias there. But in general, I try to buy filament from smaller US companies. Atomic and coax are two of my favorite companies. I would sell Atomic filament, but they don't do resellers. So, that's why we don't have Atomic in the shop. They just don't do resellers. So, last time I checked anyways. I am going to wrap this up in a sec. And I'm debating if I want to work on my Ender 3 tonight, or I got some other stuff I got to get done around the house. But anyways, let's see. Are there any other questions here? Jim, you can post your... Jim said he's got a coax discount code. Go ahead and post it. I would definitely have no problem with you sharing coax discount code, Jim. I don't have one, so go for it. I'm looking here for questions. There's the one I just asked, or just answered, from Old School Wrecker. I think we did get a little more viewers than we did having it at 2 o'clock. What do you guys think? Because we're at like 88 right now. Let's see. Emerson Quarter, would love to see a DIY style board from you guys. I got the Octopus for my Core XY. I love all the options. Yeah, Tor's been playing with it. I'm really secretly hoping that, you know, I know MKS is working on an 8-driver board, and MKS is one of the Chinese companies that I've been okay recommending in terms of a cheaper board. Big Tree Tech, I feel like you're playing Russian roulette. Like, the people that get boards from them that work, they love them, but there's a lot of people that get boards from them that just have tons of issues, whether it's a QC problem or it's core design flaws. And my whole thing is that, like, BTT has not done a very good job at rectifying issues. They have been trying harder going forward, which I will give them, like the whole debacle with SKR2. As far as I know, they did make that right with their customers, but in the past, they had shafted a lot of people when they released products that had glaring design issues, and then we're not standing behind them. You know, that's a thing I have a problem with, is if you're putting out a poor quality product, or a product that has QC that's kind of all over the place, but then you're also not standing behind it, you know, it's hard to do stuff. And as a business, I'm not comfortable selling Big Tree Tech products right now because of their track record of putting out stuff that has issues, putting out stuff where they've swapped parts out at the last minute and ends up being a problem. It's really risky. You know, companies like MKS I haven't had issues with because we've sold their products for a while. When I could get them. Like, we sold the SKR, or not the SKR2, the MKS SGen LV2 for a while, and they were good boards for a good budget universal board. So, all right, I'm looking here to see if there's any other questions, because I do really have to use the restroom, and we're almost at an hour, so there's not too many other questions here. Let's see. Chris Knight, have you tested the Exchanger Mutant V2, and do you think they're worth it, or am I better off buying another 3D printer? So I think they're cool. The Exchange and the Mutant V2, those are like toolhead swap systems. I think this is my opinion, is if you don't have room for a second printer, go for it. I'm not a fan of tool change systems on a printer. My whole thing is I would rather build a machine for each purpose, but I understand not everybody has the room to have multiple machines. My preference would be, you know, if you want a direct drive and you want a Bowden system, then have two printers and set them up in different ways. I'm also not a big fan of using a 3D printer for anything other than 3D printing. There's a lot of people that will put, and there's like companies that have made multi-purpose machines where they can do like, well, they can do like, you know, a little bit of milling, a little bit of laser, a little bit of 3D printing. And my opinion is that instead of getting one machine that does one thing well, you know, 3D printing, you end up with a machine that does a lot of things mediocrely. Do you know what I mean? I would rather have a machine for each purpose, and that goes for different types of tool head setups and different types of purposes. You know, like I've got a big machine up top here that's got a 0.8 Volcano nozzle on it, and it's a big bed. That one is just for doing big stuff fast. That's what it does. You know, I've also got smaller machines with 0.4 nozzles, and they're just for everyday printing. I also got another machine with a 0.6 nozzle. That's for bigger stuff. You know, I also have Bowden systems, and I also have direct drive systems. So, you know, I do like the flexibility of being able to have multiple machines, and like, oh, I need to do flexible stuff. I'm going to print on this printer. Oh, I need just something big, and I don't care how fancy it looks, or I want something with big layer lines, then I put it on a different printer. So it's all up to you guys. But in general, I prefer to have different machines. So, but I totally get it if you don't have the space for multiple printers. I'm more about getting one machine dialed in to do its job well, and then if I need another tool to do other jobs, then I build another printer. So, let's see. Where's this giveaway you sweet talked us about? It's coming up. Hang on. Let's see. Armels, do I still have plans for some home automation stuff in your store? I'm revisiting the lights as well. So, like the bulbs. Things got shaken up with everything happening here, but I'm getting back into the swing of things. So, let's see. Justin Ibel, MKS already released their 8 drivers called the Monster 8. I have one. Only place I've seen it has been on AliExpress. Okay, I'll have to reach out to my MKS rep and get one to test, because I would like to get another universal board in, just for DIY stuff. Let's see. I'm looking for any other questions, and then I'm gonna give the dingo sticks. Well, dingo stick out, because it's just Remo here. So let's see. All right, I guess it looks like Broops. He says, do you think the Ender 6 bag design is okay for heavy prints? I'm considering one and worry it might sag during printing. I've done larger prints on mine. I don't think it's going to be an issue. Just make sure everything's adjusted well, and the cantilever designs, as long as everything's tight and you keep an eye on your maintenance and make sure the bearings are in good shape and your eccentric nuts are adjusted and none of the screws are loosened up, I think you'll be fine. It's actually a pretty sturdy bed. I had my doubts too. I'm not a big fan of the cantilever beds, but I will give Corellius, they did a good job, and they've got those 2040 extrusions that they run up and down with, and they work pretty well. Peter Anderson, what about DHL deal with the EU? We don't have a DHL account. We just have we ship USPS and UPS. So I don't have any way to send out DHL, and the problem is we also don't have enough volume that would go DHL where we could get reasonable pricing on stuff. So basically, for shipping out from our shop here, we have USPS and UPS. So, and as far as I still know, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Australia is still not getting packages from USPS. There were some shutdowns due to like all the lockdowns and other COVID crap happening over there. Yeah. So anyways, we are going to give out the ceremonial dingo stick. I don't know if Samantha's watching, but if you are, give Claire a dingo stick for me. All right. Remo, you good boy. Can we shake? Nice to meet you. You don't know what you agreed to. Can we speak? Nope, sit. Speak. Woof. Come on, speak. Woof. You can do it. Come on. Woof. Give me a boo. Woof. Okay, close enough. Good boy. We're working on not sounding like a whiny little baby when we do the speak. I don't know why he's so whiny. He's like this 95-pound dog, and Newt's like, oof, oof. So, anyways, I appreciate you guys stopping by, and we're gonna do a quick giveaway now that we've dished out the dingo sticks. So, let's see. I was gonna do a keyword, but I remember what happened. Remember when I did a swear word for the keyword, and it just flagged everybody. That was funny. So let's see. We're gonna do hang on, I gotta look at the gift card increments. I can't remember if there's a $25 or it's a $20 one. Hang on, TH Rudy gift card. I gotta look it up. Was it 25? It's 25. So, all right. So this is gonna be how to ban chat 101. All right. We're gonna make the keyword be BL what? Just BLWHAT. And we're gonna see who's gonna win a $25 gift card here, okay? So type BL what into the chat, and you will get a $25 TH Ready gift card sent to your email if you win. And if you're a channel member, you guys get 2 times more luck. I don't know what that means, but Nightbot has a little slider. And if you're a channel member, you get 2 times more luck whenever we do giveaways like this. So, just the random giveaways. The monthly giveaways, there's no extra luck. I'm sorry. But, all right, let's see. I'm going to give it a couple more seconds here before I wrap it up. I see chat slowed down. There's not a very big delay on these streams. I have this set for like the middle low latency delay. So there's only about a 10-second delay tops. So, all right, I think we're good. You guys ready? I'm going to go ahead and roll it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Who won? Alan Kilgore. Alan, confirm that you are still here, and I will get your gift card sent out in a couple hours here, because I'm going to use the little boys' room after this, because I drink a lot of water now, and it just goes right through me. Is that TMI? I don't even care at this point. I'm just doing whatever. And Alan, I know you're awesome freaking customer, so I'm glad you got it. And you're a channel member. Hell yeah. All right, I think I got your information in here. Do you use a different name when you're ordering from us? Because I just want to make sure I have. Oh yeah, I have here. I think I have you in the system. You've bought quite a few things from us. Because then I can just get your stuff entered in. Okay, cool. Yep, I will. I got your info. You don't need to send me anything. I will send you your gift card in a couple hours. So, anyways, I really appreciate you guys. I hope you guys actually learned something here. I do this because I enjoy helping people out. It's the whole reason, like, I started doing the company, and I hope what I do comes through, and I try to be honest with you guys. So I am actually going to be working on an SKR firmware for the 1.3, the 1.4, and the 1.4 turbo. Just like we did for the MKS. So I'm coming around. I'm being more open. I love you guys. And as always, happy printing. I'll see you guys on the next one. We're going to keep doing it at 4 o'clock, okay? Bye-bye now.